Hello, guys. Hello. I hope everything is working fine. Usually there is a little bit of a delay here.
Yeah, can we get a sound check just to see if everything's going okay? And I saw Tori was in the house first. Hello, Miss Tori.
Wow, I see Jen and the Birds and Tori and Robbie's there. Mary L. Moore and Clarienwald. What is going on, guys? Well, nothing much. Just Cern opening the pits to hell. But otherwise, it's just a typical day.
Yeah, just some minor details.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Oh my gosh, we have so many people. That's great to see. Gwen Tress 82, Sin Havoc, Miss Annie Luhu, Dan Fulgrim, good to see you. Miss Christine Love, Jules, hello, Jason Oz, hello. Hi, Ray. Let's see. Awesome to see you guys. Skydriana. Sonia Senby, I hope I said that right. Miss Jen and the Birds. I really think that just sounds like a singing group. I love it. Jen and the Birds. This is Jen and the Birds. Tweet.
Yeah. Opening up for the Monkeys is Jen and the Birds.
Jen and the Birds.
Right?
Yeah.
Opening up for the Monkeys is Jen and the Birds, followed by Counting Crows.
We like it, Jen. We like it.
It's great. Yeah. So lots of craziness going on. There's our KK and Emperor Rex. Anna Trejos. Anna, let us know when you get moved in and we can try to connect because you're not going to be too far. So that would be awesome to visit. It's been weird. It's been wonky. It's been surrealistic. It's like Twilight Zone, guys. Oh, by the way, thumbs up. Support the channel. Make sure you are subscribed. Hype where you can. It's another good tool. Sita agrees. Sita says, welcome, guys.
Yes, Sita is here. She's probably going to be welcoming all evening. We don't know what's wrong. She's a little bit whiny. She probably wants food.
Probably, but she's guarding the chickens.
Guarding her chickens. Yes.
So you have a metro bus. This is what we're starting with. Explodes in Washington D.C. tunnel after catching fire, sending thick smoke all over Capitol Hill. This was very weird. You can see it's on fire and then boom. I mean, it sounds like a cannon going off. That's disconcerting to say the least. 23 injured, including 10 War Department personnel. You gotta say, you really wonder. You put this together with the other thing we're going to cover in Oklahoma, near an Air Force base. You have a tornado that's steered right towards the Air Force base, which is now, basically closed. And you really got to wonder what's going on. Is it really some sort of act of war? Could it be? Or is it just a coincidence? Again, these are interesting times, to say the least. Very disconcerting. We're going to talk a little about what BP Earthwatch has been talking about that has a lot of people buzzing. And, again, share more about what the Polish psychic has been saying too. As well as Tarot by Isabella. She's been picking up some wild things as well. There's, it's great when you get everybody kind of getting little bits and pieces of a bigger puzzle. Cindy's been getting some stuff coming in regarding Cern that feels related to what Jesse BP Earthwatch is getting. I'm always a little bit cautious until we know exactly what we're getting from the guides. I always proceed with caution, so to speak.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of folks get information, and it really truly does take all of us, I feel, to pull all the pieces of the puzzle together. And when I hear something, and I've been getting in a lot of the same information, so to me, I look at it more as a form of confirmation. Now, all the information might not line up completely, but I know that feeling when there's something there. Like, it's kind of like you grab hold of something and you're just not letting go, or you can't let go because you know that there's definitely something there. So it really truly feels like what I've been channeling lately is a bit of a problem with the AI that we have coming in, this or AGI, I should call it AGI. And some of the information that's been coming in with the AGI is quite disturbing. And I feel like it's already kind of, the genie's already out of the bottle, even though they say they haven't released it because it's supposedly too dangerous to release. I think it's already out, and I think it's going into our devices, and I think it's making subtle changes to our devices. And when it comes to our tablets and our phones and all the technical information or things that we might do, it might suggest a certain YouTube channel, or it might suggest a certain song, and all of these frequencies build up, and they might be kind of nudging you in a certain direction. And basically that's just for its own use. So making you the battery. It's like we think we're using AI, but we're not. AI is starting to already turn it around to use us. Now, I do believe that there is another force coming in. Now, I feel this strongly to counter this AGI that's on its way. And I think that is going to be something that we as humans will be able to lean into, because we've practiced for so long with using upgrading our bodies and healing our temples. It's going to make us better able to connect with this new Jesse's calling it an earth intelligence. Ancient intelligence is what he's calling it, and it's more of an earth intelligence. And I've channeled earth intelligence before as well, and that's just far better than any kind of AI or AGI out there. So we have that coming in, and I'm still putting all the pieces together. It's just a lot of information to come in.
Yeah, it is absolutely bizarre. Here in Enid, Oklahoma, Vance Air Force Base, a powerful tornado passed dangerously close to the installation's tarmac. The large, violent tornado can clearly be seen on the ground as it moves through the area, coming very close to some T-6A training aircraft, which are used to prepare U.S. Air Force and Navy pilots. At least 10 people were injured as the tornado struck parts of Enid, including areas around the base. Fortunately, no deaths reported. As far as that bus explosion, no clear definitive reason. It was mentioned that it was a hybrid vehicle, so again, you wonder if it has anything to do with the batteries. Again, the technology. Technology. The weather. Oklahoma's used to tornadoes, but again, when they come and they're so close to an Air Force base, or again, when you have a bus explode right next to the Pentagon, it's curious. Then the wildfires that are going through Georgia, Florida has a bunch of wildfires too. These scenes are reminding me of what was that place in something Valley in California, Sun Valley, or I forget what the place was, and everybody started talking about directed energy weapons and dues. When you get again trees that still stand, but cars melted, and it's just crazy. There's air quality alerts too in these areas because of the fire.
Trees have green on them.
The trees still have green, yeah, and you're seeing complete destruction of homes.
I mean, just take a look at that for a minute. How could these trees have green on them? And you can see, obviously, inside the home is completely destroyed. The metal is starting to flake away as if it's, as if it's just been totally burned to a crisp. But the trees, you guys, look at, there's bushes, right? That's a hit. That is more like a hit. Oh my gosh. That's just really, really wild.
And the next
look at that.
Is there any 15-minute cities planned?
Right. You always have to ask that these days. What's up with the 15-minute cities? I really feel this energy when it comes to what they're calling ancient intelligence. I feel it's good, and I feel it's coming, and I feel it's going to face off with this AGI. I feel it's very important. We are so close to a face-off, and a lot of this happened when the alien treaty ran out last summer. Last summer is when it ran out. I didn't get any more information on that, but I think the information that we have right now, it is obvious what's going on.
Yeah, well, again, like Robbie was saying, Stefan says that the tornadoes are related to solar activity. I'm sure there is a correlation. Yet again, though, when we see things happening in certain areas, they're very curious. And when you feel deeply into this, we understand weather warfare is totally real. We did get big views early on, until I started to get convinced that it wasn't all just natural cycles. And the more convinced I was that technology is being used on a regular basis to cause all these disasters, or a big portion of them, that's when the views went down. Because, again, they don't want the real truth coming out. They need people to say it's just a natural cycle. Because, again, it takes them off the hook. And so, I don't think that Stefan is working for the system. I think, again, there's people that are very good at skirting it, where they word everything perfectly and they avoid saying stuff directly. I'm just too plainly spoken. I always say whatever I feel. Yeah, Mr. MBB does a great job too overall, but he's also really good to make sure he doesn't, directly point out anything, that's going to impact his views. And, it's okay because, that's your livelihood. It's the same thing with us too. But we do thank you guys again for all your support and keeping us going because, YT, they certainly impacted us big time with that. I guess you would say we have a very low social credit score when it comes to YT in some ways. But yeah, this is historic drought. You got to say historic drought. Why in the world do we have historic drought with the type of technology we have and the cloud seeding programs? Why aren't they just simply, leveling out the weather instead of all these extremes? And you don't even get people to mention that. By the way, more than 80 homes in Brantley County, Georgia, were destroyed. Evacuations. This is a big fire for the East. Again, the East is way more densely populated than the West. Of course, California has a very large population.
California is just huge.
Yeah, absolutely. But blessedly, no deaths reported, so that is very good. Meanwhile, Huntington Beach closed because they saw a 10 to 12 foot great white shark. Wow. Yeah, there was a surf competition scheduled that had to be, I guess, closed. Yeah, I once in Daytona Beach, Florida, had a shark come between me and somebody else that just happened to be in the same water that, about 20 feet away from me. It went right between us. That was scary. And everybody was pulled off out of the water then.
Thank you so much, MMFG1XC. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for your support again. We couldn't do it without the support from you guys, and we do appreciate the super chats. We love YouTube, and we do watch YouTube a lot. I just, YouTube is kind of like always the go-to. And, people like Mr. MBB and, again, Jesse, BP Earthwatch, and so many great channels, John Levy, and it goes on and on and on with all the great channels and people you get attached to. It's so different than watching, MSNBC, CNN, Fox News. It's just night and day.
It is. You do get attached to some of the personalities, and definitely you get attached to, well, we're very much attached to you guys. So there's that.
And we can see we have 2 X-class flares. We have a pretty high M-class flare. All of a sudden, it got pretty bumpy. There were CMEs. They say they may give us a glancing blow. The KP index has been very low. Right now, it's creeping up. It's a little bit over 3. So we'll have to see what becomes of this. They definitely do affect us, even if we don't get direct hits. It is absolutely affecting our consciousness, and you might have felt tired or sluggish, or you might have felt wired. But I think those people that are awake, you guys, you feel it one way or another.
Oh, definitely. And every time I get these, I always feel in my body, it's like, okay, where is this one going to hit me? And I don't know about for you, but for me, this one hits me. It tells me, okay, you need more grounding. You need to do more grounding. And this could go for a lot of you guys too. It might have given you some more abilities to do the grounding, or if it makes you sleepy, that's a good indicator you did need some grounding. It might make you hungry. More grounding, so this one was very much toward the root chakra. And Vildon, thank you Vildon, said one of the videos about earth structure has been telling about turbine under the earth. YT channel Yada explained. What kind of hydro turbine is that, and what's the purpose of that structure? I have not gotten that, Vildon. I have not gotten that there is that kind of thing underneath the earth. What I have gotten, though, is that the earth is much, much, much larger than just this little teeny tiny spot that we're on. And there's other spots on earth that are similar to ours, and they're at a different frequency. So even though we cannot go there in our physical being right now, we are multidimensional enough we could go there in like astral travel in a way.
And maybe we do in our sleep.
We probably do in our sleep. We may even go visit other people, but I have not gotten that the earth is like mechanical like that. I've never ever gotten that, not for earth. Now I did get that she's not completely round. Bigger on the underside, but that's not going to stop it from there being different areas where there's different frequencies, because Earth herself too, she's multidimensional. Now, some of these areas are even denser than we are here in the 3D. I know it's hard to understand, but they are. But then there's other areas that are different dimensions, higher dimensions, 5D. And oddly enough, they all have their own. Think of Earth as a radio. There's so many different stations that come out of Earth. She is a giant receiver. And as she receives in different frequency depending on where you're at. So I hope, thank you, Valdana. I hope that helps you understand at least what I see.
And we'll look into that other channel. I'm always interested in finding other other channels that might, hit us with something that we never even looked into before, and then we could check with the guides and go into meditation and see. When I think about it, because I remember all my dreams. Every morning when I wake up, I remember the dreams. As the day goes on, they pass, and if they're not really notable, they'll fade away, but the notable ones stay. Yet, it wouldn't surprise me at all if some of the dreams are really transpiring in other of these zones on Earth. Again, if you look at Earth as a big radio that's receiving signal from source, and from also like Alcyon, the central sun, and all the ones that we're connected to with our own personal DNA lineage and star lineage, I wouldn't be surprised at all if some of those dreams that feel so close to being normal but aren't really quite normal are on another zone, literally taking part in some of the alternative realities here on Earth. I find myself a lot over in Southeast Asia, and also, the Southern Hemisphere in my dreams. I'm always over there. I've shared with you guys that I've come to the conclusion that my higher self has an incarnation somewhere in Southeast Asia. I'm not sure which country, but I saw it clearly because I had thought I woke up and was waking up from sleep, and then I walked into the bathroom and realized this isn't my bathroom, and I looked in the mirror, and I was about a 28 to 32-year-old, very lightly built Asian man. For lack of a better description, it was like I was looking in the mirror at me, and it wasn't me. And then I woke up because that kind of shocked me. And then I woke up in the usual bed, here in the deep south. But that was really vivid. And then I've had other dreams back in the same place and back, I want to say Singapore. I think it's Singapore is where this other, incarnation of the higher self is transpiring at this point in time. And probably somebody that was born, maybe like 1997 or something like that. So it's curious. But again, reality is not what most people think. It's not at all.
No, it's really difficult when you are getting information from different dimensions to get it right in your dimension. So if I get other information about Earth and that it's getting different dimensions, I have to take that information to the best of my ability and give it to you to the best of my ability with the words that I've been taught. So the English language is probably the craziest, stupidest, most complicated thing in the cosmos. Really, I did horrible in English, and looking back, it makes sense now because the English language is senseless. But it is hard taking multidimensional information and then translating it into such a limited place where we live right now. So it's just hard to say. You have to go with your perspective, what you've been exposed to, along with information that you have, and channel that. So sometimes we don't always get it right, and that's why it takes like all of us to paint a full picture.
Yep. And Sonia says she's been watching Mr. MBB, Stefan, and all the other channels like BP, I guess. I think they all have great hearts. I think they all are very well-meaning people, and they're human. They're you could relate to them. They're just normal people that, are not. They're, even though you might recommend the product or say I endorse this or what have you, it's not like the mainstream media. It's not like the politicians. These are people that we could relate to, that we like. And that's great because it feels like it's a real relationship. Even if they don't know every one of the people that are following them, And I saw a comment by Ginger Ale Brit, our dear friend there. All my dreams from the previous night start flooding back to me the moment my head hits the pillow at night. That is so cool.
That'd be convenient.
That is so convenient. It's like a review, and then you're going to expand on what do you want to cover tonight? Where do you want to go explore tonight?
You know, I can get mine back if I ask, but I do have to ask. And if you're one that, say you want to remember your dreams, if you're struggling, it's a really good thing to ask your guides and angels to help you remember before you fall asleep. And you can also program yourself to ask the question as soon as your eyes open, okay, where was I just at? Ask yourself that question, where was I just at? And then write it down. But for me, I am able to recall like some hours after I wake up. If I just make it a point to say, okay, I recall this later. And then I go and I recall it later, but you would be surprised at the information you can get just by talking to your guides and angels and saying, hey, this is what I want to do. They're really, they have ways of getting things through to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And remember, David Wolcock, he was convinced he was an incarnation of Edgar Casey. There is an energy there, and so there could be a resonance for sure. And maybe he was. If he is truly gone, because some people think he might just have been put into kind of like a witness protection or in hiding or what have you. Then, again, I think he did what he came here to do. He definitely impacted the world. That's without a doubt, without a question. He expanded so many people's horizons, and that's a good thing to awaken others. Because, what are we finding out? We're finding out that pretty much every single conspiracy has been pretty damn accurate when you get down to it. Absolutely. Eric Trump-backed robot startup lands $24 million Pentagon deal to compete with China. Phantom 2 to be the strongest humanoid robot in the world. The Phantom 2. I mean, they're building so many different robots, as you see it right here, and they're trying to push it. They're literally creating Terminator. They really are, like right in front of our faces. It can be like the Jetsons. It can be like Terminator. It might be like so many of these other movies we've seen. China is working on similar technology again. It's going to be robots battling each other, and they already are. He says, okay, here you go. You cannot build a utopia and then not defend it. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I think we need to change our whole mindset. Doesn't make sense to people that only understand war.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Sonia. We appreciate that. She says, I love you both. And the truth you share. Thank you. And thank you. Thank you very, very much. Looking at what Mike was just talking about the robots, I saw a clip of robots that they were dancing. And I thought, no way, this has just got to be people in somehow, but it wasn't. And the robots were really dancing, and they were doing really, really well too. Looked really good, and they were definitely robots. So it's here. Like the takeover is here. All they have to do is just start showing up more and more and more. It's like the invention of the wheel. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, then pretty soon they're all over the place, and it's going to be the blink of an eye. And, we're going to start seeing robots out doing people shopping at Walmart, driving cars. And it's really disturbing. And that's not the kind of world that I want to live in. But then again, I know we also have this other Earth's her own energy and her own ancient intelligence. That is coming. That is definitely coming. I feel it. And we have that to work with. And as long as we are working on mind, body, spirit, doing all the things, we are going to be connected to that. And that is going to be the guiding force to a different place for us.
So I just saw Sin Havoc's comment there. So BlackRock has been run by AI for a long time, called Aladdin, like Aladdin's lamp. Isn't that curious? What do you pick up on that, sweetie? Uh,
Yeah.
Aladdin at BlackRock. That is certainly curious. I'm just going to get rid of a few of these that we've covered.
He's taking over like everything.
BlackRock again, and then Palantir, reference to the all-seeing eye of Sauron. Here you go. There's another robot. Team Honor. This is in Beijing. Robot Olympics. It's crazy. It is crazy. It is crazy. But this is the reality is the world is run by people that are so different than us. Everybody in this chat, we are just fundamentally different than the politicians and the mad scientists and the billionaires in so many ways. We just view things differently.
This world is run by total and complete psychopaths. I mean, these beings think that they're on the threshold of like immortality, and that they're going to be gods, and they're going to be giants, and they're going to be like remembered forever. And maybe in their world they will be, but they're in my world they're not going to be remembered at all. As soon as they are gone, I'm cutting them out of my mind, and I'm not looking back. But yeah, I mean, we're being ran by a bunch of psychopaths, and things are going to change. Things are going to get better. It's just really frustrating to see those that have all the power and that are in charge right now today. I mean, my gosh, what could possibly go wrong?
Well, they've told us in the stories. Meanwhile, Mine AI, Palantir's Alex Karp wants us to know he has big plans. Honestly, if you've ever listened to him, he sounds like a madman to me. He's more than crazy, though. It's like Cindy was saying, a psychopath, a complete psychopath. When you hear them, it's like, wow, we got to get these guys like out of power. They have way too much power. They're just absolutely insane. Technofascism. Yeah, absolutely. This is again what they are doing. And this is from RT talking about the techno-fascist manifesto. What can you say when they talk about useless human eaters, and why do we need so many humans? And then it's all about absolute slavery. You have Klaus Schwab saying, again, AI is going to watch everything you do. It already is. It has all our life, is the reality. Don't worry, as long as you've been good, you have nothing to worry about. Well, all these people in charge have a lot to worry about, and nobody's going to watch them. If you did, you would be damaged.
Well, they're subject to different rules, and as much as they want to say that no one's above the law, when they're in that level, they are. They go to different schools. They learn completely different ways of living. There is a huge separation. But I truly believe that we are going to have a chance. Things are going to get turned around, because we are more connected, much more connected. But think about psychopaths. There's no emotion there. They have a goal, and they want to reach the goal, and if they have problems reaching their goal, they'll do whatever it takes to get through that problem. And it doesn't matter what's sacrificed, whether it be a family member, a favorite pet, whatever. It doesn't matter. They just walk right through. To them, the ends justify the means, and however they get there. And that's what's been running this planet for far too long. And I really feel we're not too far from change. So just keep hanging on. Just definitely keep hanging on. Oh, one to be loved. They keep cutting. I'm so sorry. Yeah, a lot of technical glitches. Hang in there.
Yeah, and so here you have Melania hosting the First Ladies Luncheon in D.C. She's talking about empowering American children by partnering with Palantir, OpenAI, and others to usher kids into an AI surveillance state. Yeah. Yeah, well, again, the education system, as we know, is just a sham, and it's an indoctrination system. Thankfully, we do have a lot of things heading in the right direction, like people homeschooling. That's awesome. The more homeschooling, the better. Instead of just 100% pure corrupt indoctrination. But here you go. They always put they try to put positive spin on things, but it's not positive, because again, it's going to be used to just keep the 99.9% in abject slavery and keep the power system in place. They're rushing against the clock, trying to do that. Yet there's too much happening. So much is being exposed. People are waking up in droves. Israel using ceasefire to impose Gaza-style yellow zone in South Lebanon. If you look at South Lebanon, it looks just like Gaza. And you know what? In my opinion, if certain people get their way, probably a big, huge chunk of the world will look just like Gaza in 5 to 10 years' time. And we can't have that. This is how you have these resets. When you look to, American Southwest, when you look at the Sahara, there's really nothing much there now. There was, same thing in the American Southwest. There's so many stones and rocks that look like nothing, but they were something in days gone by. Again, when you look to the Book of Mormon, for instance, and the Mormons being led from New York State out west, and they were told by, I believe it was the angel Moroni. I'm not an expert on the Book of Mormon. I've read through it a couple of times, but not an expert on it. They were told to go in a certain area, and you're going to find cities that are empty. Well, why were those cities empty? Because the previous people that were in those cities were no more. The system wiped them out, just like we're seeing in certain areas right now.
And looking at what they did to the indigenous here in the States, we are no different. We are absolutely no different. When it's our time, it's going to be our time. What I'm hoping for is we're going to be given the tools and the abilities, and our bodies, minds, spirits, souls are going to have the wherewithal to change and the strength to change, that we'll be able to start that new world, start a better world. So this old system, it needs to crumble. Obviously, it's not working. It's kind of frightening to look at, because you can see that so many people are not ready, and looking at it, giving it a good, hard, cold stare, realistic stare, that means that other people are not going to make it. And that's just really hard to accept, but this system has to crumble for us to do better for our children. Our children need better.
Yeah, they basically drag people off the streets in Ukraine to draft them and send them out to fight, and then they don't necessarily feed them. And of course, so many of them die en masse. We've lost so many people in Ukraine. There's like a whole generation that's been wiped out. Meanwhile, if you look to people like Klaus Schwab, look to President Trump, look to Zelensky, none of them are starving. Not like this guy. Not like this guy. In fact, again, we understand, what are they doing? They're embezzling. They're all thieves. They have been just taking so much money away from the people, and they've also been sending the people off to die in a war that is manufactured from the beginning. And really, again, all these wars have been manufactured. They're all, again, bankers' wars. So, again, we need to reverse 1913, dissolve the IRS, dissolve the Federal Reserve. I think, one way you could go is you could dissolve the executive and the judicial branch and just have a true House of Representatives, send more power back to each of the states and kind of eliminate the federal government, or go about to begin to eliminate the federal government. We have to eliminate all these big structures. It's great that we left, in my mind. It's great that we left the WHO. We should leave the UN. The UN will go bankrupt in no time. All these structures have to be dissolved so we can start something from scratch that's not corrupt. At least $9 billion in Medicaid fraud was just found in Minnesota. Yeah, this is not unusual. This is the norm. They've been stealing from everybody. All of them, really. Again, Democrats and Republicans have been stealing. There's very few that you could actually trust. And even with those that seem like you could trust, like Thomas Massey, I would still watch him very closely, because, again, they're always trying to tempt those that are trying to do the right thing until they can finally find the right way of tempting them to jump ship and become part of the problem instead of the solution. FISA 702 is just the tip of the iceberg. There have been so many erosions of our Fourth Amendment right to privacy, Bank Secrecy Act, the Right to Financial Privacy Act, the Patriot Act. All of them created so-called loopholes in the Constitution. Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act is used to go after us. This is Thomas Massey talking. I've been in SCIF last week, where I saw 2 secret rulings, how the government has created additional loopholes to spy on you that I'm not even allowed to tell you. And finally, the third-party doctrine is all based on the ruling of the Supreme Court. Well, again, the Supreme Court is being found out. Again, the corruption, it's at the very, very highest level. And so, you always have to be aware of the fact that they might replace something that we figured out with something that we haven't figured out yet, and try to keep us caught in their loop.
Well, what's so super sneaky is they might say, yeah, sure, you can have your privacy acts. Oh, sure, that's no problem. But then they don't say anything that about technology is the one who's going to be spying. So what if it's AI that is spying inside of your phone? It's not a human, but it's AI. I'm looking outside, you guys, and there's this little frog on my window right outside. He's like, oh, he's so cute. He must be spying. He's really cute.
Is it a frog, or is it really frog? Some sort of little drone? It's a tiny little frog that's no bigger than maybe 1.5 inches.
I know.
It's a very cute green little guy. So there's been a lot of reports of this. Iran bombed cloud seeding radars in the UAE, and suddenly the temperature shifted by 5 degrees in Tehran, unheard of, and now it's raining and snowing. I did see a bunch of these. This is another one. America, Israel stealing our water for years under the pretext of climate deterioration. Director of Iraq's largest Darbandahan Dam said we're open the gates to 100% capacity. The dam hasn't reached 100% capacity in years. Underground water sources have also started to overflow. Yeah, I really think that a lot of the deserts that we have on this planet are absolutely not natural. They're not natural, the result of the system. Again, look to Mars, because this is what they do. This is what they do. A man uses a dissolved solids meter to test the water quality of both fresh rainwater and a city tap. And the results he finds are going to be shockingly viral. The rainwater measuring almost as pure as it can be at 2 parts per million. The city water is well over 300 parts per million. Yeah, absolutely. And all this stuff and the crap that they add in there. And then again, all the pharmaceuticals and stuff that ultimately make it into the water one way or another.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Wow, Robbie says green frog symbolizes good luck, wealth, abundance, and prosperity. That's beautiful. That sounds great to me. Okay, listen to this. This is interesting. I've heard that rolling thunder in Florida that doesn't seem to end, and it feels really weird. This feels different.
Will pick this up or not, but I've been outside for like 15 minutes, and the thunder sounds bizarre. Like now what is that? I'm a 7th generation Floridian, and I have never heard thunder like that.
That weird sound, it almost sounds like an alien ship coming in.
What is that? I'm a 7th generation Floridian, and I have never heard thunder like that. What is that? Okay.
That's weird. What are you guys thinking? Thank you so much, Brother Robbie.
Thank you so much, Robbie. I just sent you a picture of the frog. Oh, yeah. Doesn't that sound crazy? I know just the other day we were doing a video and we had Karmadoc send us some stuff, and it sounded just like something off Jurassic Park, but it was actually the tornadoes forming. So I do believe this is just, to me, it's evidence that the elements speak to us for sure.
Yeah, it's strange. Yeah, this is the first time I've seen this one. Weird. Oh, here you go. Somebody is going down the Elon is an alien route. Well, he does have a penchant for, kind of putting that out there, right? Starting from yesterday, Elon Musk and major verified accounts that are real close friends have started posting tons of Elon alien version images. It's not a joke. Is it a operation before they reveal the real Elon to the public? Is he really the Antichrist? That's not human. Again, the Polish psychic said that there is going to be an Antichrist revealed, or a Messiah. He calls him the Messiah, but again, he's not getting that it's a good thing or a good person with good intentions. And he says it'll be a person that's not born of a mother. So in other words, like somebody that was literally created in a lab or some sort of hybrid. He also says that he has very unusual energy and abilities. It's interesting because I think it's more inclined to be barren, honestly. That's going to be revealed to be something different. Or you could have, again, the ultimate, which is the return of the Anunnaki, which, again, is something that I've always expected. And Cindy, when she was channeling before, she channeled more than once that they do return by 2035, and they actually have people in the 15-minute cities, the smart cities. The smart cities in 2035, according to what we got channeled material about 5-6 years ago now, will be ultimately run by Anunnaki. And that's why they're doing this. They're herding people into those smart cities. So, again, some might be saved to go work maybe off planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Sanja says we've had the worst drought in 123 years, according to the weather here in SC. And I definitely know that Cern, there's something going on too. We've been under a burn ban for so long here, and we're supposed to be right smack in the middle of tornadoes and major storms right now, here tonight, right now. And every time for the last 3 weeks they say a storm's coming,
It gets dried up.
it gets dried up. So yeah, there's something bad wrong.
Yeah, they're creating the drought. Absolutely. Yeah, and that's true what Robbie said. Von Braun literally wrote a book saying the man named Elon will colonize Mars. Yeah, colonize it, or did he come from Mars? Again, do you think this is just a spirit orb? Is this somebody playing with AI? Again, spirit orbs abound. When I first was doing a lot of mantras and meditations back in the 80s, I started to see them like every night. There was a period where every night I would see spirit orbs all around the place. I was living in Milford, Connecticut at the time, town of about 55,000, in typical suburbia. And I would just see them all over and in big numbers. I think it was just kind of a gift in some ways, from opening up the third eye through mantras and meditation, and practicing diligently my Qigong.
Yeah, we're all coming online with our abilities, everybody at a different place. But one thing we have in common with everyone is that we're all coming online.
Yeah, Sin Havoc says Musk is over 13,000 years old. Yeah, maybe he's really been here ever since the Younger Dryas. Interesting to think of. Here you go. This is one of ours. This is a military jet, and it gets buzzed by a TR-3B, or one of those type of military planes. Very close. This is, again, part of the disclosure that the government is giving us. So they're showing us their own ship in this case.
I know. Isn't that cool? Either that or that's a really, really cool drone somebody has from the ground.
Well, it's way up above the clouds. I don't know of any drones that go up to like 40,000 feet there, but yeah, it's interesting. How about these? Did somebody just paint these there? Or are these real fossils in northern China? What is it? Are they going to tell us this is dinosaur fossils, some new type of dinosaur, or do they want to just say, well, maybe it's a cousin to a Draco? That is curious.
That is very, very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot hidden from us, and we don't get to see everything in some countries like China, like Afghanistan. I think they've made sure they blew up a lot of the stuff that would be very, very telling in Afghanistan and in Iraq, and they're in the process in Iran as well. Yeah, our history is not what we've been told. 3 psychedelic drugs to undergo ultra-fast FDA review after Trump order, including psilocybin and ibogaine. Yeah, kid you not. So they are really changing course here. Ibogaine is known sometimes to cause dangerous heart rhythms, but has been embraced by combat veterans as treatment for trauma and addictions. So it is something that in some other countries is not illegal. I see Joe Rogan there cheering him on.
I mean, this is so important in a time that we are in. So many people are depressed. There's so many emotional problems out there. There's so much trauma. I mean, trauma on top of trauma, family lineage trauma. There's domestic violence. There's so much out there for, the war, the military. This needs to happen. And, the standard medicine out there, and I'm not a doctor and this is not medical advice, but through experience, the standard medicine that's out there to help people get through some difficult times is not our friend. It is not meant to heal. These are some things as Ibogaine, I mean, it's amazing. It is going to heal your brain, and psilocybin, it's going to help heal your brain. It's not just going to cover things up. So, that's just so important that these are coming out. So I'm just thoroughly impressed. I'm super happy to see this. And I mean, this is a big reason why I'm here, is because I had such a hard time in this world, being the way I am. And I went down the wrong path thinking that doctors were there to help me, and they didn't. They absolutely didn't. They made things so much worse. And then I ended up going toward plant medicine, and I'm finally able to find some healing. I'm not recommending anything. I'm not a doctor, but I'm just so happy and grateful to see this, because I know that there's a lot of people out there that have gone through a lot of depression, could still be going through depression and trauma, and just trying to pull out of it, that need this kind of help. They need actual healing, and not just toxic Band-Aid that's going to cover things up, because there could also be other things wrong with you. I mean, depression can be in the gut. It can actually be in the gut-brain axis and have nothing to do with your brain. But there's also people with traumatic brain injuries that this is going to help. So, I mean, I can't say enough good things about seeing that.
Yeah, as the chickens are going crazy here in the living room. Yeah, the chickens are in the living room. We have chickens in our living room. But yeah, they're in a playpen, and they're getting big. There are leftover remnants all around the world, and much of it we don't even recognize as scars of a great war that has transpired here 12,000-ish years ago, 12,500, 12,700, a war beyond imagining. Truly, this world was so much more, and it was very, very advanced. And so when Cindy had started talking about what Jesse, BP Earthwatch, is talking about with Cern, and Jesse was talking about that Bible quote where they open up the gates of hell, and I saw an angel going down to the abyss and unlocking the abyss, and then these lotuses come out and they're tormenting us here on earth. The keys to the bottomless abyss. Is that really a reference to the portals that Cern makes?
You gotta wonder.
You gotta wonder. And are they actually talking about letting in some nasty, nasty creatures from other dimensions? Did you guys ever see the movie The Mist? That was a creepy movie. That was very depressing too, because it was the military opening up a portal into another dimension, and these beings from another dimension, and spiders and all sorts of stuff, come in and start just feeding on people in this town in Maine. I think it was Maine. Usually it's Maine when it's what's his name, the creepy guy, Stephen King. It was a Stephen King book, I believe, made into a movie. I hope I'm right on that. But anyway, yeah, a dimensional portal was opened, and it caused literally hell on earth for a while until the portal was closed. But is that part of what's going on? We know Cern's opening portals, but is CERN changing hands is the question. Is some other group taking over now that we're no longer in the Kali Yuga? Because we're not. From the information we got, the Kali Yuga ended 2 years ago now. But still the vestiges of this control system are still in place, but it's deteriorating. And it is the apocalypse, so people are waking up, and the apocalypse is the unveiling.
Well, if we think about the technologies and look at the technologies, pyramids and other technologies that are here on Earth that were usurped and used for not so good things, I don't think it's too far-fetched to say, okay, well, now is a different time and it's a different era, and now the technologies are changing hands back to a higher frequency. I think it's true. I think something is changing and there's a higher frequency, and there's going to be a much higher order out there, but not until this other order that we're dealing with now. It has to tumble. It needs to tumble, and out of that tumble comes a much higher order. So that's, we have things to look forward to. We need to take care of our minds and our souls and our bodies.
Yeah, this is in the Libyan desert. So what are these rocks? What really are these rocks? Were they melted by directed energy weapons that are in our upper atmosphere and been pointing at us the last 13,000 years? Yeah, it's very, very interesting to say the least. There's so many things that just don't fit. But soulmates, they fit perfectly.
That's cute.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for your support. You're so generous, and thank you for blessing us with your presence and this great discussion. It is always great fun to interact and to be with you guys. It's a blessing. Loka samasta sukhi no bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. May my thoughts, words, actions, and deeds contribute to their happiness and their freedom. That is my wish. And Cindy's got some dings.
Okay, you guys, we're gonna be releasing some things that don't belong in your body. We're gonna release some anger tonight. So have some happy thoughts, think some happy thoughts, and we are gonna diffuse any anger that might be pent up in the body. So stand by. Oh, wait. I gotta say my thank yous. Hold on. So first we want to say thank you to MM, Sonia, Veldon, and Robbie. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for sponsoring tonight's video. So here, think some happy thoughts. And again, we're going to diffuse that pent up energy that might be in the liver and allow that energy to finally leave your body. Make sure to drink plenty of water after tonight. Here we go. Okay, you guys are absolutely amazing. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for the thumbs up. Thanks for all your support. If you want an appointment, just email us at evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com, and we can do a whole biofield tuning, pull in your chart, do a card reading, customize it, whatever you need. And you can also gift it to someone too. We can do gifts if you want to gift something like that to a loved one who's had a really, really hard time. It might really help them. Source bless and